Hi, I'm Danny Johnson. Welcome today. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I know I'm going to enjoy talking to you. Okay, listen, what do we have going on this week? You may not be aware because you might be one of those people that's like living day to day. But here coming up next Sunday is a very, very important day, especially in a day and age where men have been put down, drugged through the mud, been told they're not needed, told that they can't, they won't, never will be. We live in a day and age where strong men are crucified, like largely by society, but not here at DannyJohnson.com. Here at DannyJohnson.com, we believe in our men. In fact, we believe in men rising up, stepping up, and doing great things with their lives, with their families, with their businesses, and their finances. And so in preparation for Father's Day that is right around the corner, I just wanted to have a heart-to-heart talk with you, Dad. Yeah, I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to encourage you. And I found something in the best success book ever written that I feel is like specifically for you for this day in preparation for what will be taking place on Sunday. Whether you're a single dad, you're a married dad, or you are a spiritual dad, meaning that you have, spiritually adopted a few extra children that belong to a few other people that maybe the dad is not there. First of all, I personally want to thank you that you actually care about being a dad. I don't know if you know my history, but I grew up in a violently abusive, drug-infested home, and I was molested from the time I was 3 until I was 16 years old. The man that I thought was my dad violently abused my mother. I would watch her be strangled. I would watch her be beaten to a bloody pulp, meaning both eyes just blacked out, bleeding, her 4 front teeth totally punched out of her mouth. Lifeless, listless, being picked up with a gurney off into an ambulance and taken off to the hospital. I saw that many times as a little girl. Not to mention the kind of beatings that would happen to myself and my sisters as well. And so whenever I see a dad that is engaged with his children and showing love to them in the best way that he can, it always, always blesses me because I was not given that opportunity growing up. But there were some amazing things that my dad, who I thought was my dad, I found out when I was 17 and a half that he wasn't, he adopted me when I was, 8 years old or something like that. And he gave me his name and he stopped taking child support from my biological father, who I had never met at that point. And so that is a gift that he did give me, even though he was a very angry man, even though he was a very confused man and ridden with guilt and shame, where he buried himself inside of his drugs and from his switch between uppers and downers would cause these just crazy violent outbursts. And I never knew who I was dealing with on a day-to-day or moment-to-moment basis with him. I am so very grateful for some things that he did teach me. I really am. There was some things that he pushed me towards that I'm so grateful for. And so I don't know if you've been appreciated or not, but I do have a passage from the best success book ever written that I want to charge you with today. And I also want to point out some things that maybe you are teaching your kids that maybe, you don't even realize that you're teaching. And I want to start with that. You see, Dan had a very high standard for cleanliness in our home, even though he was like smoking 20 joints a day, abusing alcohol and snorting lines and popping, 80, 90 pills a day to the point of, where he's like drooling sometimes. He had a really high standard for excellence, which is like, doesn't like add up, does it? But it is true. He taught me how to clean. My mom broke her neck when I was 11 years old, and so she obviously was physically not able to do many things that wives are normally do, but my dad stepped in, and he taught us all how to clean. Even if it was every single night after dinner, he would cook dinner, and then, my mom from her walker sometimes, because she went from a wheelchair to a walker in 5 years. And so he learned how to cook. And he also taught us all how to clean. It was me and my 2 little sisters. And I'm telling you, he had a really high standard. He would come in and double check and triple check that kitchen to make sure it was exactly the standard that he required from us. And that was a huge gift. Oh my gosh. It was a massive gift. Why? I'm a wife. And as a wife, guess what? I have taken what Dan taught me with that diligence and that high standard of excellence, and I've brought it into my home. Now I've left out the anger and the beatings for the crumbs or the spilt this or the that or the thing that was missed. I've left that out, and I had to learn what the different personalities were of my kids, and had to learn how to motivate them positively versus with fear. But man, if he had not taught me excellence and diligence, I don't know where I would be today, because I also use that in business. Yeah, when I first got started in business, I wanted to make sure that I brought the best possible service to my clients. I wanted to make sure that they were satisfied. I backed my product with a 30-day money-back guarantee, and I made sure that I followed up with them every single week, sometimes twice a week, to make sure that they were using it right and they were getting the results that they wanted. And so that was a form of excellence and diligence that I was bringing to the marketplace. And who taught me that? Dan taught me that. Even though I never saw him get up and go to work, the bottom line is that excellence and diligence through scrubbing toilets and cleaning the kitchen and scrubbing floors and making my bed every morning, having that kind of a routine, that really, really established such a powerful foundation inside of me. And so I am eternally grateful for those particular gifts, because I've seen other people that their parents did not have any standards for any of that, and they are slobs. They're sloppy at work, they're sloppy in their car, they're sloppy at home, and that is not good. It's hard to get promoted in life. It's hard to have a prosperous, harmonious marriage when you're a slob. I mean, it just downright is. And so anyway, so if you're teaching your kids and you've got a standard of excellence with your kids, I'm so proud of you for doing that, because there's an entire generation of slobs out there. And that's really bad. I made sure that my boys knew how to take care of themselves, do laundry, knew how to cook, knew how to clean, knew how to bring excellence and diligence and have the right work ethic and the right attitude about work, because I certainly didn't want them being a burden to some woman someday. I didn't want them being some lazy loaf who was waiting for her to make him dinner or waiting for her to do everything for him because he couldn't care for himself. And so I wanted to bless my future daughter-in-laws with making sure that my sons and my daughters knew how to do these things. And so it took a lot of work to do that, but I did it. And that was a generational thing that Dan, the man who adopted me, gave me. And I'm so grateful that he gave that to me. He also pressed me with my grades. He kept this fervent, fierce, high standard of wanting me to get straight A's. Well, that never happened. I had dyslexia. I was not, and I had an abusive home that I was in. So there was these other things that caused, a bad chip on my shoulder and me questioning whether or not I could do anything. But I did get pretty good grades considering my learning disability and considering the home that I grew up in. In fact, the best set of grades I ever got is the year I left and I moved out of the house and I went up to school in Oregon and I got straight A's and a D. I got a D in geometry. It's awesome. It was the best grade point average I ever had. It was awesome. So anyway, bottom line is that he kept pressing me. He kept pressing me. He knew there was more in me. But I didn't know it at the time. I thought he hated me. But man, when I look back, I realized, wow, he wanted the best for me. He talked to me about going to college and that how I'd be the first kid to go to college. I never went. But he set that kind of thing for me. Do you understand? He set that, the understanding of learning and the understanding of education. And even though I hated it, looking back, he really set me up for success there. And I am super grateful. So you dads, that you understand that your kids need to give it their best shot, I commend you. I charge you on. And I know that you're doing your best not to do the other things that the man that raised me did. So let's get back to this passage. That was the first thing I wanted to tell you about. Those are important things that helped to set me up for success. Initially, I didn't like it. I hated every part of it. Well, as a mom and a wife and a grandmother, looking back, it's like, wow. Thank you, Dan. Thank you for pressing me. Thank you for showing me that there was more in me than what I thought that was in myself. And thank you for the lesson of excellence and diligence. I am so very grateful. So here's the second part of the passage that I wanted to pull up to. It's from Galatians 5:13. And it says this. It says, "You are called to freedom, brothers. Do not use your freedom for things of the flesh, but in love serve one another." Especially a man is called to freedom. Especially a man is called to freedom. And you know it. You know it's in your DNA. You know when you've been trapped. You know when you're not free. You know when you are being hindered, stopped, blocked on all sides. Our society has blocked you, but you cannot use it as an excuse. Our society has blocked your manhood. Our society has blocked the warrior spirit that's in you. Our society has put you down and has told you you're not needed. Shoot, there's a sperm bank that somebody can go and get somebody else's donated sperm that they were paid for to produce children. Children with the last name of lot number 5,1963 or something. Right? You've been told that you're not good enough, strong enough, smart enough. You don't provide enough. You're not around enough. Maybe even told you're lazy, you're good for nothing. We live in a society that doesn't celebrate men. And I want you to know that there's people here at DannyJohnson.com that do. We believe in you. And I know you're called to be free. And I'm going to ask that you would forgive the women and forgive our society, because we've done everything to emasculate you. And I'm ashamed of that. I was a terrible wife in my early years. I was awful. I would say the most horrible, hypocritical things to my husband. And here I was, a so-called successful businesswoman, but boy, was I failing in my role as a wife. I would say things that I didn't even realize were hurting him, not even considering his past that had told him that he was unwanted, his past that had told him that he didn't measure up, that he wasn't strong enough. He was 5'5" and raised in Hawaii with a bunch of huge Hawaiians that were stronger than him, that bullied him every single day in school. He grew up with a single mom who was broke, abused drugs and alcohol, and brought in men that did the same thing. She was trying to escape from her feeling of inadequacy, her insecurities, and the shame of the life that she was providing for her sons. Bottom line, I was mean in every way, wicked in every way. But the same God that wrote this passage that you are called to freedom, and do not use your freedom for the flesh, but use it to love one another. Love is very powerful and strengthening, covers a multitude of sins. It bears all, it endures all, and it never fails. And I want you to feel the love of your Father on Father's Day, of your Heavenly Father, your real Father, the one who specifically planted you in your mother's womb to bring you to a life of freedom. So if you were like my husband, you were blocked, torn down, told what you weren't doing, criticized, you have a condemning wife, please forgive her. Please. And forgive our society for doing the same thing, because you're called to freedom. And the path to freedom starts with a reset. The reset is releasing those who don't even realize what they're doing, that they're creating the reality of what's coming out of their mouths. So please, be man enough, strong enough to let go of all of the words from our society and maybe some of the women in your house. Let go of them and begin to rise up as a free man, a warrior, and a lover. Begin to rise up and do what you must to have the life that you want to bring for your family. You know what I love about what we do here at DannyJohnson.com? There's a lot of things that I love. Yes, I love taking care of the poor. Yes, I love that our profits, a large percentage of our profits go straight to the poor, that my salary goes to the poor. I love that we provide jobs. I love all that. I love that we get to see lives changed every single day. I love that. I love that we help to impact 6 12,377,093 lives last year alone. I love that. But at the top of the list of the things that I love the community of men that I've watched rise up, that I've watched step up. Men who were just broken and lost, their mind racked with the debilitating thoughts of confusion, not knowing which way to turn, where to go, or even how to get there. The men who had buried their lives with their work because they felt like failures as husbands. Men like Charles, who racked up $1 million worth of debt, trying to prove to himself, to his family, to his extended family and society that he had become something, racked with $1 million in debt. Him and his wife lost their intimacy. They lost their closeness. He screamed at his daughters. He was on edge, and the household walked on eggshells. But this man, Charles, had the courage to say, mercy. I can't take it anymore. I can't do this anymore. I suck at this. And how long do I want to suck at this? He was a workaholic, like so many others. His work life replaced his wife and his kids. No longer having fun, working, and only getting behind. He came to First Steps to Success. He's paid off $1.1 million worth of debt and became completely debt-free. Him and his wife are all over each other today. And they began getting all over each other far before all that debt was paid off. His daughters love and trust him. To see his heart fulfilled with the passion and love and the embrace and the fine, soft, gentle kisses from his wife as she looks into his eyes and calls him her warrior, who she's so proud to be married to. Whereas they were on the brink of divorce years ago before their first steps to success. That's a full life restored. Men like Brad, who was married to a beautiful woman, had a really nice Range Rover, had a high-paying job, on the outside looked amazing, had a great house, but he was writing his suicide note. He was racked with debt, not being able to breathe because of it, but didn't know that that was the cause. He had everything to show for all of his hard work, but he was miserable inside. Well, sadly, his marriage ended in a divorce, and then he heard about First Steps to Success. Shortly after, he had written a suicide note to deliver to his family on Christmas Day. Well, Brad found a new love at First Steps to Success. His brother, kicking and screaming, brought him down from Canada down to California to that 3-day Warriors event. And in that event, he discovered what had been stopping him. He discovered why he was bleeding from the inside out. He found out why he'd been chasing all of these things to try to prove something and never felt good about it. He found a new path, a new strength, and a new love. Brad has paid off over $336,000 worth of debt. He remarried. He and his new wife started from scratch, ground zero, and have built a new company that they work together. They've got investments that are paying them every single month, and they're completely debt-free with several sources of income. I could tell you stories for hours. Hours and hours and hours of just the men that we have watched step up, rise up into that place of freedom, financial freedom, and be able to experience the beautiful touch and trust of their wives and their children. So I'm calling you right now to freedom. I'm calling you right now out of mediocrity. I'm calling you, my brother, right now, out of the path that most men are on, where 98% of them are going to end up dead or dead broke at the age of 65. They've lost their adventure and they've traded it in for Netflix or Amazon Prime watching the show Vikings. The 98% men who have traded it in for NFL football, the World Series, the World Cup, or the Final Four. The 98% man who ends up dead or dead broke at 65, who's gained 100 pounds. Heart can't handle the weight. And that inner heart that is saying, you couldn't protect anyone. I am calling you out, my brother, of the 98%. And I'm saying to you now, it is time to come into your freedom. It is time to come out of the 98% bondage that has a destiny that you are not called to. This passage does not say you are called to bondage. You're not called to the bondage of debt. You're not called to the bondage of boring in a marriage. You're not called to the bondage of no adventure. You're not called to the bondage of a dead-end job that's going nowhere. You are called to freedom, to be liberated. That's what you were born for, and that's what I am charging you with. So right now, brother, I charge you as I have thousands and tens of thousands of men that we've raised up inside of this community. Men who were down for the count and had no chance of success. That in 3 days that they gave us, 3 days of their life they gave us, that within 30 days had more money in their bank account, had a promotion fixed right in front of them with their career. The business owners grew their sales. In fact, I had one business owner grow his sales by $500,000 in 4 weeks. $500,000 in 4 weeks. $20 million in 1 year. Yeah, hardworking construction worker who thought everything was awesome. He thought his life was great. He thought his marriage, his wife was happy. No, come to find out she wasn't happy. His daughter was terrified of him. Or like Adrian, same thing. Here he's a church leader. He's teaching parenting classes with his wife, holding marriage classes with his wife. Wife and kids were terrified of him. They couldn't wait for him to leave town so they could breathe and not be walking on eggshells. Adrian came out to First Steps to Success. He paid off over $220,000 worth of debt. He restored his relationship with his wife and his children. He's taken his children now all over the world. He learned new techniques in 3 solid days where he was able to grow his income 5 times. Last year alone, Adrian, a father just like you, a husband just like you. Last year, Adrian and his family gave more away to the poor than what they used to earn in a year prior to their first steps to success. That is to be your story. We called those men out of the bondage of a 98%er, a boring life, giving up your adventure, giving up your life into bondage of debt and dead-end finances, to Adrian growing his income 5 times. 5 times. So you give me 3 days of your life and $799, and I will guarantee you that in the 30 days following, your bank account will grow far more than the $70.99 that you put in, that you will pay off debt. If you are in business, your sales are going to increase. If you are married, you are going to be blown away by the amount of harmony and peace that comes into your family and into your bed. You will be shocked at the techniques you learn and that you implement that 30 days later, you probably won't even recognize how amazing your kids honor you. Even better. So here it is, brother. Go to Dani, D-A-N-I, Johnson.com. Click on events right in the toolbar on the very top of the home page. Click on events. There will be a drop down. June 28th through the 30th. Yep. Make it your Father's Day gift. You're coming to First Step Success, the 28th through the 30th, and you're going to meet these powerful men. These men who were ripped to shreds, racked with debt, emasculated by their wives, who today are celebrated by those women who are by their side, who tell them, I'm so glad that I'm married to you. That's what you want, and that's what you're going to get. June 28th through the 30th, I can't wait to see you there. Get registered right now, brother, and let it be that this Father's Day is a day that you have a solid plan to leave a legacy for your family. That as a father, you're not going to hand down the burden of debt to your sons and daughters. As a father, you are not going to leave to you leave to your kids what was left to you. Just know this Father's Day that as you purchase this ticket, $7.99 for First Steps to Success, that what you're building and developing for your children is something far more powerful than anything that's ever been given to you. I guarantee it. Within 30 days of you walking out of that First Steps to Success event, if you don't have what I'm saying you're going to have right now, if you don't have results, we don't want your money. You will call us and we'll gladly give you a refund. Gladly give you your money back. So the only thing that you get to lose is the old life you've been living. And if it's been a mediocre one that you've tried to convince yourself is good, stop living the lie and let's start walking in the promise of freedom. Because that's exactly what you're going to get. No hype, no fluff, brother, just like I haven't been fluffing or hyping you now. Bottom line, you need results. You're a warrior. You need freedom, like Gabriel needed it, a Navy SEAL who couldn't figure out how to have a marriage that was fruitful and inspiring and encouraging and passionate. Him and his wife were about to get a divorce. He was suicidal. She was suicidal. He's a Navy SEAL. He's gone all the time. She's at home with 4 kids. She's hating life, and she went into debt, $25,000 more while he was gone, while he was deployed, fighting a war. She was terrified that when he found out that she spent another $25,000, and she spent on some bunch of gurus that she found on Facebook. All these people are like, come to my class. It's going to cost you $2,000, and I'm going to teach you how to market. Yeah, well, she ended up with nothing but smoke, hot air from someone's backside, brother. That's what she ended up with. $25,000 further in debt and no way to pay it. On what? A Navy SEAL's salary. She secretly came out to First Steps to Success. When she came back, he had a new wife. She didn't ask him to go. She didn't press him for anything. She just lived what she was learning. Her husband was so blown away. And she started making money, started contributing, stopped complaining, found a new vision for her life, for the marriage. He then said, where did you go? He went to the website, DannyJohnson.com. He came to the event. Those 3 days radically changed his life. The 2 of them were completely restored. They now have 2 more kids. They paid off $350,000 worth of debt in 2 years, and today have $250,000 in cash in the bank. Remember I was telling you about Adrian? He has over $600,000 in the bank. A guy that was broke, that couldn't make a month end correctly. He had less money at the end of every month, now has over $600,000 in the bank. Come on, I want you to think about how much of a king you're going to feel like, the warrior you're going to feel like when you have fixed those things. And I know you can fix them. So register right now, First Steps to Success, and I want you to say hello to the new freedom that's on its way. Come on, it's just a couple of weeks away. We're going to be face-to-face with each other. It's a serious boot camp. Get ready to roll up your sleeves and get ready to go to work, which I know you're not afraid of. And I can't wait to hear what your story will be. You'll be another one of these men that we set up high on a hill and say, look at these guys. These are the model fathers. These are the model husbands. These are the model warriors and men that society needs to say, teach us how you have done it. So come and meet these guys. Come and get the same training that they got, and come and see the success that you've been missing out on, that it's time for you to cash in on. By the way, if you go register right now, we're going to take $200 off that ticket. Go register right now. We have a limited amount of seating that will take $200 off right now. So it's not $7.99, it's $5.99. Okay, just take the $200 off, get registered. That's only available for a few more tickets that are left. So go do that right now at the website, and listen to me. I can't wait for you to see your new life. I cannot wait to hear your story. I can't wait to hear the day that you've paid off all your debt. I can't wait to hear the story of you traveling the world with your family. I can't wait to hear of all the adventures that you gave up on that you will now be living. I cannot wait to hear how you and your children have been completely, radically restored to a place you've always dreamed of. So I'm excited for you. God bless you. Happy Father's Day.